Hey everyone, it's Allie. So I have a few announcements that I wanted to make. Yeah, I got some things I've made making some changes, and I just wanted to take the time to kind of explain why I'm making those changes and what those changes are exactly, so that you have a better understanding of what is going on. So you might have already noticed that I have changed the name of my Facebook page from the Tarot Fairy to Geek and Fairy. And if you have popped into my website in the last, I don't know, week or so, you may have noticed some changes there as well. So I just want to bring you up to speed on what is happening. And I guess I should just start from the beginning. So for those who know me, like really know me well, they know that I am big into a few things. So first thing is fairies, which I have been the most open and public about. And then art. I've been open that I've been a collector for a long time, and of course that's how I have been running my business for the longest, was through my artwork. Geek culture is another one. So nearly all of my closest friends and even many of my acquaintances are really into things like video games, comic books, cosplay, LARPing, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, science fiction, fantasy, you name it. So I have been around these things pretty much my entire life. And even though I personally might not be directly engaged in all of those things, I have always felt a sense of belonging in the geek community, and I have enough of my own kind of geeky niches that I contribute to the community as a whole. And then the last thing on my list is tarot. Now, I say last, even though tarot came into my life way before the fairies and the art really did, believe it or not. I have kept that interest and hobby pretty hidden from most people for a very long time. And I came out of the tarot closet, we'll say, just less than 2 years ago. And I was a little bit nervous about how it would be received, especially by my closest friends. So over the last decade, I have been making friends with some very, let's say, pragmatic people who, although they have great imaginations and love their geeky pastimes so they can escape from reality and challenge themselves artistically, tend to approach the world from a much more science-rooted, facts and evidence perspective. And I was really worried what they might think of me using tarot. But so far, no one has said anything to me. I think only one person kind of said, explain it. But that was it, which I found kind of weird. So either they are completely indifferent and just don't care, or they're too afraid to bring it up out of fear of offending me. I'm not really sure which way, but so far no one has said anything. I was expecting a little bit more of a backlash or some arguments, and I never did get that. Now, on the other side, I also have some very spiritual friends and acquaintances, and I associate with a spiritual community as well, who embrace tarot wholeheartedly, but they can often swing in the whole other direction, and they start, say, oh, you must be psychic, or they make assumptions because I read tarot, you must be psychic, and where do you get your messages from, and you speak to angels, or do you summon deities? And, I get all these kind of things, and I'm just like, whoa, whoa, I tend to keep my spirituality much more down to earth, and I'm not criticizing anyone. That's not a criticism of anyone else. It's just my personal preference. I don't believe that you need to be psychic to read the cards. I do believe there is an intuitive level to it, but I also look at that from a very practical perspective too. So for a long time, I felt like I've almost had to fake it with these two groups of people that I feel in many ways I identify with both of them in many ways, but I've like I said, I've had to fake it out of fear of being too woo for one group and not woo enough for the other. And I've honestly felt, especially in the last little while, that I have been a part of two tribes that just were never going to interact. Or yeah, and woo is an industry term, by the way. It was really easy for me. Pardon me, let me get a drink. I've been recovering from a sore throat for a little bit, and I can still feel it. I talk too much and my voice starts to go. Okay, what was I saying? Yes. Okay, so the two tribes that were never going to cross paths, and I felt like it was really easy for me to be more authentic with the fairies and the artwork, because it easily fit in with both groups. The geek community embraces fairies. They show up in movies, in video games, in role-playing games, and people get them. And art is obviously huge. You wouldn't have geek culture at all without artists, period. It just wouldn't exist. The whole foundation of those interests and hobbies rely on artists, on authors, on painters, on comic artists, on digital artists, on animators, actors, all costume designers. The whole thing is founded on artists. And then fairies and art were embraced by the spiritual community as well. There are people I know who believe in fairies. I believe in them in a certain way, but they come up as elementals, and elementals are very important in the spiritual community, and they manifest in other ways too. People consider them earth angels and guardians of nature. And so fairies and art are very much embraced by that community too. So it's super easy for me. And I think that's why I was so much more open in public, and I could be more authentic that way, through that medium. But it was a little bit more tricky to blend the geek side of me with the tarot hobby. And since I've been more open about it in the last over a year, it just has not been sitting well with me to continue to hide it and kind of fake it. I just felt like I wasn't really being authentic. And it was almost a year ago now, I kind of had this stroke of insight that I was going to amalgamate my geek and tarot practices. I just had to figure out how. So I am certainly not the first, as I learned. I've kind of been connecting and networking with more and more tarot people online, and learning that I am definitely not the first to blend these two things. There is a shift in tarot culture, I think, to become more mainstream and more practical, and use it in respectable professions, actually, rather than kind of the whole psychic fortune telling. That's kind of becoming something of the past. And there are certainly readers out there who are openly geeks and have found ways to bring the two together. But to the best of my knowledge, I think I'm the first one who has brought my cards to a comic convention And that's what I intend to do. So that's where I want to take my tarot practices. So how do I do that? Like, maybe wondering, like, how do these things fit together? So the first thing that I did is I went out and I invested in a variety of geeky themed tarot decks. Now, a lot of people might consider these decks collector's items or novelties, but I intend to use them. So here you notice the Triforce. This is the Legend of Tarot. Oh, there goes my voice again. Excuse me. The Legend of Tarot, or Legend of Zelda. So that's one of the decks. There's, pardon me, Ganon. What else do we have? Anybody? Desert People. Star. Okay, what else do I have? Let me show off a couple other decks here. This one, there's the back of the DC Comics Justice League. So this deck is full of DC comic characters with heavy emphasis on Justice League. But, you know, they have Teen Titans in here and even a couple of Watchmen characters. This deck has been pretty fun to learn, actually. There's a lot to it. And I'll show you one more. I got a variety. I have like a little kind of chibi manga kind of one. I thought that would be really cute and fun. And I got Lord of the Rings, and I've got Necronomicon, Cthulhu deck. This is my steampunk deck, and I tend to collect a few more. There's a few other ones on the market I have my eye on that I want to bring in. Well, that's the back of it. I'll show you the front. Queen of Cups. Just to give you an idea of what these look like. Okay, so I've told you about the decks that I've got. So those are the decks I'm going to be using. The other part of what I have done is I developed some geeky themed spreads. And for those who don't know what a tarot spread is a map of how you lay out the cards to address a particular, I don't know, question or topic of advice. And so, for example, if you go to my website, you can see the complete kind of list of packages, the menu that I have set up there. And so you might look there and say, oh, okay, the Star Wars one looks really interesting. I want the Star Wars reading. So you'd get that one to kind of check in with yourself, make sure that you are on the right path, that you aren't deviating away, maybe being tempted by the dark side, that you are kind of fulfilling the destiny that you have, you know, set out, that you feel like you align with, and it's the direction that you want to be in. So it would kind of just be a check-in kind of reading, make sure that you're doing all the right things and you feel good about what you're doing. Maybe get some validation out of that too. And for that, you know, maybe you'd pick Star Wars reading with the Justice League deck. Or perhaps, you know, maybe you have a goal that you are determined to reach. You just might be a little bit confused or not sure where to start, or you just feel stuck, like something's happened. And you're a little bit lost or confused, and you're like, how do I reach my goal? I feel like I've gone off track, or there's something off. So, okay, maybe we could do a Super Mario's Brothers reading for you, because, you know, Mario starts, he's got to get from A to B. He's got his objective. He has to rescue the princess from King Koopa. So that was the inspiration by that for that reading. So we would map up the cards, and so you'd learn, okay, what kind of resources are out there for you, kind of mystery boxes that you can tap and use and bring into your life. What kind of friends do you have out there helping you? What kind of path, like what direction should you take? What's the best route? You know, that metaphor there would be like the pipes that he travels through. So that's how we would bring that in and address and use kind of Mario as a metaphor for your situation, and maybe for that you'd want to use, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings deck or the steampunk deck. We could do a steampunk, the combinations, there's tons of combinations. You pick your deck, you pick your spread, and you get this really unique combo. And so what I want to offer is just a new way to enjoy your favorite fandoms and get the bonus of hopefully getting some sage advice out of the experience as well. So, where can you find me? Where am I doing these things? My first public event will be, oh gosh, it's coming up super soon. I'll be in Prince George for Northern FanCon from May 6th to, oh sorry, I think it's 5th, actually, my notes are wrong, 5th to 7th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first weekend in May. And then almost as soon as I get back, I will be hosting a public presentation in Sydney, BC at the yoga studio on 5th Street on the sacred wisdom of geek culture and tarot. And so the purpose of this presentation is to demonstrate that the same wisdom that we get from a deck of tarot cards are also found in our favorite movies and comics and video games. You know, I hate the stereotype that people think that, you know, TV rots your brain or video games make you violent. Nothing makes me more crazy. You know, they are storytelling. They are just a media of storytelling. It's just evolved into this new kind of modern day version. But the wisdom and advice and the life lessons are still there, and we get the same themes and lessons in a deck of tarot cards. And so that's what my presentation is going to be about. The cost is $5 at the door. I'm not getting paid for this. The $5 just covers the cost of the venue. I will put links below if anyone is interested. But if you can't make it in person and the topic does sound interesting to you, let me know. Like, send me an email or leave me a comment on this video, and just let me know that you are interested but you can't make it. And I am contemplating doing an online kind of webinar, I guess, version of it. So you can attend online. It would be completely free. But I just need to know who's interested, because I'm not going to do it if there's not enough interest. I've already had a few people, but I'd like to hear from a few more people before I commit to this. Okay. And one more event that I am solidly booked at, where you can find, I see my sign back there. Look for my sign. You know what I'll be doing. June 11th, also here in Sydney, just north of Victoria, the capital of BC, on your way just north of the city, on your way to the ferries or the airport, at the Mary Winspear Centre on June 11th will be Van Isle Con, the inaugural year for this event. I'm super excited about it. I will be offering my geeky tarot readings there as well. And of course, if you can't make those events, I offer them online. I do online readings. They're available now and indefinitely. You can always book a reading with me online. Yeah, what else do I want to say? Okay, so as by usual practice, every month I have been spotlighting a new tarot feature. So in May, expect a lot of geeky posts coming at ya. I'm going to be spotlighting all of my brand new geek tarot readings in May. That'll be the spotlight, I guess. The reason I chose May for that, well, one is because I'm officially launching my first event early in May in Prince George, and then but May is also has a few special days. We have Star Wars Day on May the 4th, and we have Geek Pride Day on May 25th. So May was the perfect month, I felt, to launch this new venture. And so you can expect a lot of geeky posts on social media as well as on my blog. And I'll be giving away some free readings as well. So make sure you follow me on Facebook or subscribe to my newsletter so you don't miss out on those opportunities. And don't know how many I'll give away, more than one for sure. Maybe I'll do a weekly giveaway, and one person a week will win a free geeky reading of their choice. And then I just want to kind of, anyone who is worried about what about the fairies aren't going anywhere. Once May is over, we have June, and June has days like Midsummer, Summer Solstice, and International Fairy Days. So we're going to swing back into fairy mode come June, and I think I'm just going to kind of do that sort of alternating spotlight, going from geeks to fairies every other month. But of course, all services will be available at all times. And I think I have covered everything I needed to cover. I have packed a lot into this. Thank you for bearing with me and all my rants and rambling. This was a long video. Be sure to check out all those links. I will be listing them below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you around at some of my events and hear from you online. Take care, everyone. I will see you next time.